Hello, this is Max. A guy finds himself in another world inhabited by monsters and must confront evil. Don't forget to subscribe. In a children's internment camp, young ones receive wristband alerts, urging them to prepare for experiments that involve using their minds to collapse a colossal tower at the center of the universe. Meanwhile, in New York, 11-year-old Jake wakes up from nightmares, prompted by a recent earthquake in the city. His dreams often feature tortured children, desolate landscapes, and enigmatic humanoid figures. His parents send him to a therapist, frustrated by the lack of progress in his sessions. At school, a classmate bullies Jake by confiscating his sketchbook, leading to a heated altercation.
You need to go home and cool off.
Jake confides in the school counselor, insisting that his dreams are not mere fantasies, but depict a sinister man in black tormenting children to destroy the tower, which he believes will plunge the world into chaos. The counselor attributes Jake's outbursts to the trauma of losing his firefighter father in a blaze. While on the streets, Jake notices a passerby with an odd, mask-like visage, but a homeless man warns him that individuals are searching for special children like him for dark experiments. Jake escapes on a bus and encounters his friend Timmy, eventually returning home to find his mother and stepfather discussing his behavior and the idea of sending him to a psychiatric boarding clinic. That night, Jake reflects on his father's heroic sacrifice and decides to put aside his nightmares. He hides his drawings and goes to sleep, entering the dream world once more, where he continues to see the man in black. Simultaneously, two gunslingers attempt to confront the man in black, but one falls. The younger gunslinger, Roland, can counter the man's magic, but remains overmatched. Jake awakens and tells Timmy about the gunslinger and a mysterious New York residence linked to him, but Timmy doesn't believe him and departs to confront a social worker at the psychiatric clinic. Jake becomes suspicious when he notices strange markings on the clinic staff, similar to those in his dreams. He asks his mother to help him pack privately and convinces her of the danger posed by these bad people.
Okay, I'll go.
Before leaving, he finds an online message revealing the possible location of the gunslinger's house and agrees to cooperate. Jake seizes an opportunity to escape, eluding a pursuit over rooftops.
Stop running!
He contacts his mom, telling her he has important matters to attend to, and arrives at the supposed gunslinger's residence. Inside, Jake discovers a gate with a control panel, entering the number 1919 he frequently dreams about. The computer indicates that he's bound for midworld, and a portal materializes nearby. Just as he steps through, the house's floor crumbles, trapping him. Jake manages to enter the portal, finding himself in a desert world devoid of civilization, with peculiarly shaped hurricanes in the distance. The man in black arrives at his facility and is informed by his workers that there has been unauthorized access to one of the portals by the same boy they are attempting to capture. Jake spends the entire night wandering through the desert until he spots a faint light in the distance. Upon reaching it, he discovers an unlit campfire and some water. As he drinks, the gunslinger suddenly emerges, pointing a gun at him, which startles Jake. Jake explains that he has seen the gunslinger in his dreams and attempts to convince him, but the gunslinger has little patience for his explanations and departs. However, when Jake mentions the man in black, Roland becomes wary, almost tossing Jake off a cliff, suspecting it might be a trap.
Man in black?
Jake reassures Roland that he knows his name is Roland and that he has no knowledge of the man in black's whereabouts. Roland believes him and proceeds to explain that the man in black is a sorcerer, whose real name is Walter. In the human world, the man in black discovers that a powerful psychic has destroyed the demon house. When he seeks answers from one of his henchmen, they inform him that only a human child with a potent shine could have dealt with the house, leaving Walter bewildered. Roland and Jake make their way to a forest where they come across the remnants of an abandoned amusement park. In the distance, they spot a group of Tahins, who are Walter's henchmen, prompting them to hide and find a safer place to stay. Roland manages to prepare dinner, and they discuss the strange facilities around them, with Jake explaining that they are themed parks. They delve into more details about the past confrontations between Roland and Walter, including the one that resulted in the loss of Roland's father. Walter visits the workers of the supposed psychiatric clinic, chastising them for losing Jake. He then orders them to turn on each other and departs, leaving his workers in distress due to his dark magic. Jake sketches a map showing the location of the Dark Tower at the center of the universe, surrounded by thousands of worlds. Roland explains that the tower serves as the universe's protector against infinite darkness and monstrous forces, and Walter seeks to destroy it to establish his rule in the new Dark World. Jake suggests they collaborate to thwart Walter, but Roland is hesitant about having a partner. In the middle of the night, they witness a beam of light heading towards the tower, carrying one of the children from Walter's facility. Jake is called by a mysterious voice while he sleeps, leading him into the forest, where he encounters his father. Roland rushes to rescue him, aware that it might be a trap, and when Jake touches his father, a dark wall materializes and attempts to unleash a monstrous entity. Roland confronts the wall, which transforms to resemble his own father. Despite Roland's attack, the wall vanishes. The Genslinger informs Jake that it's a manifestation of the darkness Walter is trying to bring into their world, suggesting that their fathers were never truly present with them. Feeling safe, they encounter a new dark creature that easily overpowers Roland. Jake leads the creature to the amusement park, attempting to distract it while Roland escapes and ultimately defeats the creature. Roland commends Jake's bravery, but Jake is more concerned about Roland's injuries. Meanwhile, Walter infiltrates Jake's house and manipulates his parents to reveal the location of Jake's drawings, admonishing them for mistreating their son.
And you sent your only child off to this asylum.
Roland and Jake arrive in a village where Roland's wounds are treated, and they share Jake's visions with the locals. They learn that Jake possesses a unique and potent shine, which allows him to read minds. The Seer establishes a connection with Jake and identifies the location of Walter's lair in the northern wastelands, nearly 6 months' journey away. Jake proposes using the portals to expedite their journey, as Walter's minions are constantly searching for children from other worlds using them. Despite some objections, the village decides to assist them, guided by the rule that one must never oppose a Genslinger. Ara reveals that Roland's soul is now in Walter's possession, making him ineligible to be classified as a Genslinger. Roland admits the truth but emphasizes the importance of defending the Dark Tower at any cost. He departs and notices that his injuries are worsening. In turn, Jake vouches for Roland's character to the villagers, affirming that he should still be treated as a Genslinger. While the portal technology is outdated, it appears functional, and they prepare to leave. However, just before their departure, the town comes under attack by Walter's henchmen, who set fire to and destroy everything. Jake helps a girl escape from the henchmen, while Roland defends the rest of the town but faces complications from his injuries. Ara rescues Roland, but they lose sight of Jake. Roland briefly pauses in the middle of town to contemplate his next move. Ara is puzzled by the situation, but after a few moments, Roland takes a shot into the distance, managing to hit the person who was abducting Jake. Roland instructs the villagers not to worry about them, as the longer Jake remains in their world, the greater the danger they will face. The pair then passes through the portal back to Jake's Earth. Roland is overwhelmed by his surroundings, and Jake urges him to seek medical help immediately.
Do the animals here still speak?
However, Roland's inexperience in the human world leads to complications, as doctors inform him that he is suffering from multiple ailments and should not be released.
Clear services.
Wait, what?
Nonetheless, they leave the hospital, and Jake gives Roland painkillers and soda to ease his discomfort. Roland remarks that he hasn't felt this good in years. Walter manipulates Ara to reveal Roland and Jake's whereabouts, prompting him to travel to Keystone Earth to pursue them. Jake suggests seeking information from the homeless man they encountered earlier, but the man admits he lost his shine years ago. Therefore, Jake uses his powers to read the man's memories. They decide to return to Jake's house, where they find his stepfather unconscious on the floor and a black scorched mark in the boy's room, leading them to believe that his mother fell victim to the man in black. Jake is instructed to use his shine to track him, with Roland advising him to close his mind and embrace the pain. On the terrace, Roland vows to personally seek revenge against Walter for both of them and teaches Jake the Genslinger's Creed, a promise to protect the tower and stand against darkness. They practice their aim with tin cans and visit an armory store to acquire the necessary supplies. However, Walter separates them, leaving Roland trapped in the store with him, while Jake escapes from Walter's henchmen.
Well, I guess you did.
Walter taunts Roland, claiming that despite his efforts, everyone who crosses his path will meet their demise. Jake is kidnapped but uses his shine to communicate with Roland. They blindfold Jake to prevent him from revealing their location, but Roland still manages to locate him, eliminating anyone in his path. They open a new portal to Walter and Roland's world, where Roland witnesses the Man in Black having Jake under control. Despite being surrounded by numerous henchmen, the gunslinger fights through them all, using all the weaponry he obtained from the store to take out everyone present. With the help of gas canisters, Roland triggers an explosion that provides him with some much-needed time. The computer alerts that there are issues with Jake's power as he resists and holds back. Walter intervenes, attempting to discourage Jake from losing his resolve by insinuating that the gunslinger is only interested in him for the sake of confronting his nemesis. Jake is deeply distressed by the loss of his mother, and this emotional turmoil triggers the light beam toward the Dark Tower. Meanwhile, Roland confronts one of Walter's closest henchmen and finds himself on the streets as the sky turns red and earthquakes commence. A car takes out Walter's henchman, freeing Roland to reunite with Jake. Realizing that Jake now possesses more power than ever to destroy the tower, Walter decides to buy time by facing off against Roland. The Man in Black uses his powers to engage Roland, even impaling a piece of glass into one of Roland's hands, leaving him with only one functional hand. Nonetheless, Roland continues to resist Walter's onslaught, and the villain manages to deflect all of Roland's bullets. Jake attempts to establish a mental connection with Roland just before Walter can deliver the fatal blow, reciting the gunslinger's creed. Roland manages to fire 2 bullets that intersect, changing direction just in time for one to strike Walter's heart. The gunslinger then rescues Jake and destroys the machine, saving not only the Dark Tower, but the entire universe. As they observe the city struggling to recover from the recent catastrophes, news reports suggest that things are slowly returning to normal. They share some hot dogs, and the gunslinger asks Jake if he would like to accompany him to his world, as there is nothing left for him in this world. The boy excitedly agrees, becoming the gunslinger's new ward. If you are interested in such films, please proceed to the next video on the screen, and also share your thoughts about this film in the comments. Give us a like and subscribe. Goodbye.